Shop a doop shop bop doo ya bop shop dee dee da ba doo ba dee bop booyah. Hey everybody, welcome to Ken Johnson in Bayvac Studios, where we are privileged to be here today to tell you a little bit about an exciting immersive play that has just opened, titled The Fillmore Eclipse. Fillmore Eclipse is a little bit of history because it tells the story of the last days of Bop City, which might have been the most premier jazz club in the Fillmore district of San Francisco. And of course, the Fillmore district is famous for situations and issues that arrived from the redevelopment agency and what we now know as gentrification. So the play deals with many concepts and problems that we faced in the Fillmore. Not only do we talk about jazz, we have a live jazz band in this production playing the music of the greats, you know, the Bop City legendary jazz players that came in from all around the world to play Bop City. And I actually play kind of a combination of characters. I play Charles Sullivan, who was known as the mayor of Fillmore. Charles Sullivan owned or ran the leases on all the clubs here and there. On the clip right behind me, you see my dad, as my pops, Alan Smith, as he was playing in Bop City. And I was actually known as the Bop City baby, but that's another story. So, back to the play. So the play starts out with the character Charles Sullivan kind of welcoming people to the last night of Bop City. And I'm also kind of a combination of Jimbo Edwards, who was the man Charles Sullivan hired to run Bop City. And Charles Sullivan was famous for, running the Fillmore Auditorium. He actually coined the word the Fillmore Auditorium, and had several master leases all throughout the Fillmore that he in turn would allow black businessmen and folks to get their businesses started up and down Fillmore. So he's integral to that whole effort of black businesses and supporting, our own wealth system in the Fillmore. Now, I'm talking about 40s and 50s, primarily the mid-50s, 1950 into 1960s. So the play then not only deals with Charles Sullivan and Jimbo Edwards, who ran this incredible club, but it also touches on the Japanese internment story. There's a character, Paula, who comes into the play, and she's being displaced. There's also a Russian Jewish man who's being displaced. And then there's a firebrand African-American woman who confronts me because she's hip to what's about to happen with the gentrification and they talk about the certificates that were supposedly going to allow the black families that were displaced and lost their homes and had to move out of the Fillmore a chance to come back into the Fillmore.
Out of the city!
You've always been so damn hard.
And I'm saying now, you've always been so damn selfish!
How many meals you giving to black families?
Oh, that's how you do it.
By my count, I'm feeding over 100 Negro families every day. How many you feed?
All about appearances. If you wouldn't take advantage of folks, it could be 150.
That ain't no answer to my damn question, child.
Tell me, when there are no more black folks left in the Fillmore to praise your name, what are you gonna be then?
Yeah, when I'm feeding over, putting food on 250 family tables, black Negro family tables. Yeah, what table other than your own will you be providing?
Without certificates, there won't be any black family tables for the benevolent Mr. Carlos Merritt to provide for.
There you go again. Wow.
You're a big shot with all the connections at City Hall. Why can't you get something for the Fillmore the way you've always gotten something for yourself?
Every word out your mouth showed me just how ignorant you is.
You're not the mayor of the Fillmore Street. You're the master's overseer of the Fillmore Street.
Certificates ain't gonna do nothing but keep the white folks' heels on our necks. And yeah, you can't see because your sassy ass ain't seen enough to know.
You think you're so clever and smart, but all you really are is selfish and scared.
Yeah, you think them damn certificates gonna save the Fillmore? You dumber now than the world you came out in. Uh-huh.
So much. It's been a blast. You think that you're done with doing live theater and they suck you back in. And I get a chance to emote and do my thing on stage. It's been a blast. Wonderful cast. Sarah and Abe or rather, the man playing the Jewish character, his name is Jay, and I'm just going on first name basis, but it's almost like a family gets involved in the theatrical production, and we bond, and we're having so much fun together, and we support each other. And then, of course, the band leader cannot leave you without mentioning his name. Kellen Krapp is like an amazing composer, musician, and he's been the glue for recreating the music of that era. And I just got to give a shout out to our cast and crew, Jax, and all the folks that brought this play to make it happen. So this play touches on so many different themes and aspects of that era. But today we're so lucky to have Erica Scott here with us, and I'm going to switch to her in a second. But let me just tell you a little bit she actually made this play happen. She had a space in the Fillmore, located on Southern Fillmore. I think it's the Honey Gallery. She'll tell you more about the name of it and all that. But I just wanted to say that if it wasn't for Erica, this show would not have happened. She allowed us to use her space and actually turn it into a nightclub. And we've got a couple more weeks that were extended, and you'll hear more about that information for the play if you want to try to go and catch it. But we're also, with Ken Johnson's help, we're trying to capture as much of it as we can, so we have it on video. And now I'm going to introduce Erica Scott and say hello to Erica. Hello, Erica.
Hey, hi, Peter. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. I like what you've helped us accomplish. It seems momentous. Just to starters, why don't you tell us a little bit about your studio and how that came to be?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Fillmore and left a few times, and one of the times I left, I moved to LA and came back home and realized that I could just see the difference as far as just not a lot of Black people living there anymore. A lot of our Black businesses weren't there, and it was really heartbreaking. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I was raised by an entrepreneur, so I decided to put on my entrepreneurial hat and opened up an art gallery, and now we have Honey Art Studio.
I'm going to just mention that, the urban renewal, which some of us in the Fillmore would refer to as urban removal, in the Mo, we call it the Film Mo. I was the executive director of the Jazz Heritage Center in the late 90s, 2000s, and we had a nice little run where we were kind of elevating the legacy and heritage of jazz and celebrating that in art galleries and doing kind of what you're doing with the Honey Gallery. But I just wanted to reflect also, while we have everybody's attention, on this play that you see in this promo behind me, the Fillmore Eclipse. A man by the name of Michael Epstein came to me, and he had the concept. He works with a group called Walking Cinema. They were famous for doing tours around town and lifting up the legacy and the history of some of the San Francisco folklore. And he came to me with this concept about somehow recreating in an immersive way the history of Bop City, the most famous jazz club in the Fillmore. And then he connected with an amazing director, African-American director, Michael French, who kind of had an immersive play hit already going on in San Francisco called The Speakeasy. And so now you've got Michael Epstein, Michael French, and then the third component, which is Cleavon Smith out of Oregon, as the African-American playwright who put the story together. Now I'm curious, when did you first meet Michael Epstein?
So our gallery is also an art space, interactive art activities, and so we host paint nights. And we were in the middle of hosting a paint night, and Michael came in. And our original gallery consisted of a photo gallery of the images from the book Harlem of the West. It was over 70 images. And a friend of mine was able to get in touch with Lewis Watts, who was one of the producers and the photographers involved with the book. And they gave us the images, the original images, on loan. And so they were in our gallery, and many times when people are visiting the Fillmore, they'll stop in to look at the photos from the heyday of the jazz era. And Michael happened to be next door at one of the businesses, saw the photos, and came in. And like I said, we were in the middle of a paint night, and he hung around, as many people do, but he stayed longer than most people. And after our event was over, he was still there, and so we had a conversation. He mentioned to me about the play and that he was looking for the perfect place to host the play. And my heart just melted, because to be able to bring to life the images that I see every day on our walls, and just knowing a lot of our history, to bring that to life, it was just, it had to be God. Nobody else could make something like that happen. So we met, and we have a mutual friend in common, and she's like a mentor to me, Liz Jackson. She called me the next morning. I want to say it was probably like 5 or 6 in the morning. She said, "Erica, I want you to work with Michael." And I was like, oh, it's a done deal. You know, if Liz asked me to do something, I'm going to do it. And so from then on, things just kind of started going, and here we are now.
I just wanted to say that, you know, there's a lot of kismet involved with what's going on with this play and your participation. And we actually share some commonality. I believe Estelle Crawford, you're related to, who worked for Wilbur Hamilton of the Redevelopment Agency, as did my mother. And she was involved with, you know, trying to get the Jazz Preservation District on the map. And Estelle was a dear, dear friend of hers. Tell me a little bit about that.
Wow. Estelle is, she was the matriarch for our family. She's my mom's oldest sister. And my grandmother, their mom, came here from Louisiana. And she passed away at an early age for my aunt and my mom, and Estelle took over and was the matriarch for our family, as well as the executive administrator for the redevelopment agency. And the redevelopment agency actually was like a second home for us. We would go there after school. She would give us money for after school snacks. She would even type some of my papers while I was in middle school for me. And later on, I recognized and I understood what she was doing, being a part of the redevelopment, like you said, as your mom, fighting behind the scenes to make sure that any kind of opportunities were made available for the Black families who were still in the community. And my parents actually were able to purchase a home through one of the redevelopment programs, and that's how I ended up growing up in the Fillmore. So lots of different connections. The redevelopment agency means so much to so many people in different aspects. Unfortunately, it was a focal point that was used to help the exodus of Black people from San Francisco. And then there were people like your mom, like Estelle Crawford, who did what they could to support us as families still in the community.
Just an amazing concurrence of events, because your space was literally transformed into a jazz club resembling Bop City, and there are murals painted on the walls inside that kind of show the new Fillmore district was kind of envisioned with the widening of the streets, and which actually was more of a curse than a blessing, because back in the day of Justin Herman, and when they were planning all this urban removal, the Gary Boulevard was going to be turned into a freeway, and it literally just cut the Black community of Fillmore in half, north and south, and it was kind of devastating. And as you know, many of the homes were moved or eminent domain. They took over a lot of African American businesses and properties, and it was just, havoc was after that. We really had to fight to get back into it. And Ken Johnson reminds me that we want to come back. We want to reinvest in the Fillmore. We want to bring back Black businesses, Black families. I mean, it may be a pipe dream, but I think it's a destiny. It's our destiny. We have to reclaim our legacy and our incredible history in the Fillmore. So tell me a little bit more about your thoughts on where you're going with your gallery.
Yeah, so you mentioned Ken Johnson, and like I said, growing up and feeling just the presence of Black people, just people who cared. My mom had her own business for 25 years, and I feel like what they were doing, I was younger, I probably didn't really understand it, but when they say we stand on shoulders of giants, that's what this all means to me. And like I said before, I just feel like things are coming full circle. I believe, like I said before, God hears our cry, and I feel like we are coming back. I feel like our presence matters. I feel like other people are starting to recognize that our presence matters. It's just been such a struggle for Black people just throughout our country. And growing up here in the Fillmore, just struggling, working hard. There's like a different perspective and perception of what Black life looks like in urban communities, and we know it to be so much different. Most families work 2 and 3 jobs, raising kids, having families, trying to start a side hustle. We were hustling before hustling became popular. And so I just think now it's our turn again, and I'm excited, and I'm excited to be right in the nucleus of it. I'm grateful for Honey Art Studio. I'm grateful for the things that we're able to do, the lives we're able to impact, and just being able to bring projects like this to life. So I'm really excited. Yeah, even as we're doing this interview, I got a message from Dr. Davis' office at the Human Rights Commission, and they're asking if there's ways they can sponsor some of our community members to come and see the play. When I transitioned the gallery into the theater, now our images are now at the Heritage Gallery. And again, the Human Rights Commission was very, very supportive in making that happen. And, you know, it's so strange to me that our cultural communities are celebrated. Chinatown, Japantown, the Castro, you know, so many places are celebrated for their culture. And anytime we say we want to do anything specific for Black people, it's an uproar. And for the mayor who looks out and supports every single community, whenever she does something specific for the Black community, again, it's a problem, you know, and it's so disheartening. So yes, the mayor has definitely supported Black businesses, Black culture, Black awareness, as she has with many other cultures throughout our city. But we're so grateful, again, for this support from the Dreamkeeper Initiative, and even before the Dreamkeepers Initiative. So yes, very, very instrumental in supporting our Black businesses. And just so happy to have been in the right place at the right time, honestly. And at this, honestly, it's just, it's a reality of what we've all been fighting for, individually, collectively. There's so many projects going on throughout our city, so many projects going on amongst different Black communities. We really, really came together during the pandemic, and that is just continuing to grow. And at Honey Art Studio, we want to be able to continue projects like this. I would love to see a museum. I went to Tennessee about 2 years ago, and I was on Beale Street, and I was like, oh, now this is a jazz district. This is a jazz community. This is a historical area where they have museums of Black culture, Black history, Black inventors. I mean, you know, and so that is the goal for me with Honey Art Studios, just to continue sharing our legacy, sharing our contributions to this city, to this country, through music and art and dance. And we also have a fashion program, an interior design program, just so many things related to the arts. We're doing some great events for Juneteenth, so just stay tuned. We are located at 1981 Sutter Street in between Fillmore and Webster. We host weekly paint nights, as well as this play is a surge of a lot of different things. Now we're going to start doing live music on a regular basis, just trying to get that feel back of what was going on in the Fillmore when Bop City was there. But again, just a place where people can come and experience Black culture And so we're happy. You can visit us at honeyartstudio.org. And we're on Instagram, Honey Art Studio CA, that's for California, and on Facebook, Honey Art Studio. So again, this has just been an honor. It's definitely a collaborative effort, and my hat goes out to the Fillmore Eclipse. Make sure you check it out. Yeah, so I'll speak to the general concept of us coming back first. So I think you kind of mentioned it, and I don't believe in coincidences. I actually like to make the analogy of what I see happening now, similar to when Moses and the people cried out.
Yes.
And it's like the floodgates are opening.
Yes.
Honestly, I feel like God Himself is saying He's giving us an opportunity here in the Fillmore, in San Francisco, and hopefully just throughout the country.
Yes.
To rectify what has happened to Black people. So with that being said, I do feel an energy that I have not felt in a long, long time. Because as a kid growing up, it was just my norm to be around family and extended family and neighbors, and we all looked alike, or even the ones who didn't look like us. We all gelled together, and we were a community. And these last 20 years, it just hasn't felt like that. It hasn't been like that. And now I am really feeling an energy like citywide, where Black people are coming together, where resources are being allocated to Black people that had not happened before. In another life, another world, I'm a business consultant, and I've worked with business development for over 20 years. And I can't tell you how many times over the years people have asked me about a grant for a for-profit business. And I'm always telling them, no, you get grants for a nonprofit. But now people are calling me back and they're like, Erica, you said there was no such thing as grants for for-profit businesses. And now there are. And those kinds of things just never existed before.
Right.
So with resources, with the support, during the pandemic, the tragedy of George Floyd and so many others, it was finally safe to say that we were being treated unfairly. You couldn't even say things like that because it's just like, oh, Black people, just get over it. Slavery has been done. And
right.
Why are you still crying about that? And nobody really wanted to pay attention to the consistent racism and exclusion that we've lived.
Right.
So those doors open where people are like, oh my God, like they're still being treated like that. And it's like, hello, it never stops.
Yeah.
So now that it's just like an open book, people see, people are concerned, people are interested, lots of allies. I see the possibilities. Now I will say that it's imperative for us in coming back that Black businesses are supported during the planning process, while the business is going, while the business is growing. We need people to support Black-owned businesses. We need consistent resources. And then from the business, then people are able to purchase homes, and life starts to happen again for Black people in San Francisco. So I definitely see that happening. I feel blessed. I feel honored that Honey Art Studio is in the middle of it all. Literally, we sit right in the middle of Lower Pack Heights and Fillmore, and so we're like really in the middle, trying to bridge communities together, providing lots of art experiences, live music, painting, sewing, obviously live performances. We want to keep this going. So I feel a lot of hope for what's going on in San Francisco for Black people.
Yes, hope indeed. I wanted to also touch on a few things. It's always good to give a shout out to the folks that got us, that we rode their backs to get to where we are now. Wilbur Hamilton, obviously with the redevelopment agency. The mayor, the real one. Willie Brown and all of his heroic efforts to bring attention to the revitalization of the Fillmore. And then I would be remiss without mentioning, the incredible work of London Breed, our current mayor, and of course Cheryl Davis on the Human Rights Commission and the Dream Keepers Initiative. When you talk about grants and funds that are really key in helping us get our footing, get our businesses back up and running, and the support, the financial support that we're talking about. So I just wanted to, shout out those folks and just, point out some of our allies that are just so key.
Absolutely. So I had the honor, the mayor, London Breed, and I, we grew up together, and then I worked with her as her executive assistant while she was still at the Cultural Center. And I just saw her and had an opportunity just to have a couple of words with her, and I just reminded her that I saw her journey. I was not surprised when she was crowned mayor of San Francisco, because she was really our mayor before she was official mayor.
Yes.
Like, I see things happening, like I said, as her assistant, and she wasn't even supervisor yet.
Right.
So they'll say that, it's going to be really important for us to really rally around her, to make sure that she's reelected. And as we're talking, Peter, I just got a message from Cheryl Davis and Saida, who work really closely together, about them sponsoring some people to come to the play.
Oh.
So when we're resources and support, it's ongoing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Way that we're going to see more Black businesses opening, and staying opening, and where Black people are back in the neighborhood feeling confident and comfortable, back at home.
Yes, indeed. So, I'm so excited to hear that. We've had an amazing run with this play. We were sold out right away. We're having robust audience participation. It's immersive. There's conversations that go into the night after the play is over. We hang out and get to know each other. We are actually just announced we have a tiny extension of the play, so there's an opportunity for folks to still come and see this play. I believe it's May 24th, 25th, and 26th. I think we have 2 shows. So if you go to the Fillmore Eclipse, just Google it or whatever, however you get there, you can find out how to get tickets, because there's still a few more performances left. And then who knows where we take this show going forward. You helped incubate us and get us up on the boards, and we're having a blast. We're having fun telling our stories, and thanks to the Honey Studios. Yes. Well, I want to thank you, Erica Scott, for joining us today for a little recap on where we're at with the Fillmore Eclipse, and where you're at with the community and the incredible work you're doing in the community. And thanks again for spending some time. And thank you, Ken Johnson, for allowing us to take your chair at the Bayvac Studios and once again deal with some of the important issues that confront African Americans in the history and the legacy of the Fillmore. So